If we think, how long do we need to cry to produce a true smile? Sometimes our attention is very much in the consequences and results of things. They say that everything in life is cause and effect. Generally, we are concerned with the effects of life. But what about the causes? Those first realities that our eyes usually do not reach in the first look. Causes are slightly deeper than effects. Interesting people are usually those who deal with the causes. Common sense, most people, concerns the effects. Even because the people who transform society are those who think the causes, are those who work in the causes, are those who are able to act directly on the causes, and that is why they change life. They say it's a beautiful legend. The story told two fishermen on the edge of a river, when suddenly a child passed in the waters, drowning there. One of the fishermen immediately launched into the river to save that child being drowned. They removed that child, and in a moment, two more children down the river below, drowning. So it took them to throw themselves into the river. They took those two children and three more children. One drowned. Were only able to take two. And suddenly there were many children who were coming down, drowning in the river, when one of those fishermen decided to leave the river and run by the bank. Indignant, the other asked, "Wait. Just now when I need you, you don't come help me remove the children drowning in the river?" He said, "No. I go up to find out who is judging the children. You see, what is the effect? The children who drown. What is the cause? Someone who throws the children in the river. If we only take care of the effects, it is possible that we cannot solve everything. But if we seek that wisdom to reach the causes, we solve all effects. How many times in life do we suffer because we are the effects of pain? We have not yet been able to reach the cause. We did not seek the root. I walk slowly because I've been too fast, and today I bring this smile because I've cried too much too. You who have already experienced the harsh experience of suffering in depth and discovered the cause of this suffering, you knew how to prepare your smile well. I find this interesting, the possibility of looking at the context of causes in life. Not only the context of effects, when we observe only the context of effects, we risk being unfair to people. A person is much more than an effect that I can observe. It is the mixture of causes that I sometimes do not know, but that by the force of knowledge, the approach, I can arrive. You know that very well. How many times in life you have been observed? You were looked at as an effect and only. No one was not concerned with the causes of his life at all, what he generated as a person. You were looked at only as an effect, and effects are transient. Passengers. They change. Causes are more fruitful realities. What fascinates me in Jesus is his ability to discover the causes, not only to deal with the effects. Jesus was not concerned with apparent defects, with the apparent effects of people. Jesus was worried. It was with the cause, with what he had deeper there in that heart before him. And so all the people who were looked by Jesus received this courage to challenge themselves, this courage to get out of themselves, to leave these apparent causes, these apparent effects, and reach the root of the causes. Because if we wanted to change our lives, we are not enough for the effects. We need to go there in the causes. And for us to get to the cause of the defect, we need to have a lot of patience with us. For us to reach the cause of each other's defect, we need to have a lot of patience with him. And no one promised that it would be easy. If we want to love, if we want to take this life seriously, we will have to look at it every day. We will have to be calm so we can throw the water at the right time of the plant, so we can taste the fruits later. It's the human process, my people. It is the divine process mixed in this wonderful human condition. Beautiful process you live, that I live too. Who knows today? God will give us the grace that you, through what will be said here, enter the universe of your causes, and not just from its effects. You may be fighting a lot with you and nothing is working precisely because of it. You are fighting only with your effect. No, seek the deepest of you. This is where God can transform. This is where God wants to convert. That's where God wants to change. The reeds, these will be consequences of a well-resolved cause. It is said that lawyers assume our cause. He will defend us before the court. He assumed our cause. It is the same as Jesus does with us. The redeeming process of Jesus is there. I am the criminal, but he assumes my cause, dies for me, lives for me, raises for me, and gives me the possibility of a new life. All your offenses, all your crimes, all your mistakes, all your defects are causes that God has decided to assume for you. And when assuming your cause, he motivates you to work inside your heart there, to find out the excesses, to work on your humanity so that you become the better human being. What you deserve. You deserve to be better. People who are on your side deserve that you are better. And it is from this mystique that we are discovering our causes, and consequently, improving our effects. Father, I attended a lecture where the Lord said that we should learn with our sufferings, and that everything that happens to us can be fruit. It is a fruit of ourselves, that when we have no problems, we invent one. But how to take some learning in pain. Come around, right? The ideal would be to learn being attracted to life, but sometimes we have to be corrected by not life, pain, suffering, death. How many people who do not convert because of suffering, do you? Many saints converted after the first tumble. Paulo himself, who we're talking about Paulo, was a fall. I fall on the road. Saint Ignatius of Loyola was the same thing. There are so many spiritists, and always after that experience of suffering, a new man or a new woman. The best way to understand what suffering can inspire you is that you know the cycle of suffering. He always turns around us. He surrounds us, and the same way he surrounds us, he leaves. Try to do what you don't like, because what you like, you already do well. It is a bit of this experience of being involved in suffering, because every time I'm doing what I don't like, I'm somehow living discomforted. That we have a change in brain morphology. You have a modification each time you're encountered. Each time you apprehend a new modality of life, your brain is modified. This is very interesting. Rogerio, every time we are living this cycle of suffering, we need to find out what it suggests to me, because I can't live it in an infertile way. If I'm suffering, then I need to make sense of what involves me, this discomfort. When we do what we don't like and we suffer what we are doing, we learn and we break a series of prejudice. Please, but let me ask you a question too. So since we are here two presenters, no one likes to suffer. In your book you say a business like this, when suffering knocks on your door, it is better to open. But you surprised me in this sentence, because usually when suffering knocks on our door, we tend to say, go to the neighbor's house. It spends another time. Or don't open the door. Hide under the blanket. There's no one there. Leaves. Suffering of death, for example, of a relative. You've been through this. I've been through this. So, but why open it? I was in Petropolis, and I met a boy. I knew the story because someone had already told me. The person you will find has gone through this. He had lost his 3 children in the accident, and when I found, neither did he tell me the story, nor did I have the courage to ask. But it's funny, when I was facing a human being who is not common, no one goes through a pain like this, and I looked at him like this. He already with an acquired serenity, certainly after a lot of tears, a lot of pain, and even today he should feel it all. But I was before him with a sacredness. He knows that passage. Takes away sandal of your foot. Because this, and that reminded me of the story of my book, right? Because sometimes it may seem like a theory, right? A set of stories that are true, but that you often have not seen ossified there before you, incarnate. And when I stayed before that man who knew the deep suffering he had passed, just as when I find people who I also know that they have suffered hard blows to life, I'm sure I'm facing special people. For more than 10 years, Fabio, you followed my life. I almost weekly, in our crazy life, had to plane. Scared. So, the day I had to go by plane, my gut was already totally unregulated. And when I got on the plane, and if you gave a turbulence, until I read such a story of Viktor Frankl's paradoxical intention. And he has something he calls intention to adopt. He says the following: that when you want what you don't want, you can want what is not desirable. The negative effect of it disappears. How did he discover this? He discovered this in the concentration camp. In World War II was a prisoner, because he was a Jew. So he was there, and he found out that they were not the healthiest who lived more, but those who could attribute meaning to life. The very slavery that lived inside. Slavery itself. Suffering. Then those who accepted the absurd, who could surrender, ended up living more and better. So sick old men lived more than strong young people. And we see this today too. Elderly people with very good humor who accept life as it is live much more. And sometimes the sick, managing their diseases, live more. So what happens? If you accept suffering, if you open the door, you disarm the suffering. That's why I'm releasing a new album, which has a song that calls Delivery to Jesus. I always, as a theologian, always found it very complicated. When I'm going to a hospital, to say to the person, look, give it to Jesus. Today I understand that the prayer of surrender, to put everything in God's hands, is a deeply psychological prayer. That the person wants what he doesn't want, and it all starts to make sense. Now I will give an example that you will understand. What is paradoxical intent? When we want to remember someone's name and don't remember, the more you want to remember, the less you can remember. Now, if you can renounce the desire to remember, so, the name is this. The more you want, and you cling to that wish, Fabio, the more you want success, the less it will come. Now, just say like this: I don't want to be successful anymore. I want another White House on the porch, in a backyard, a window, and a guitar to sing. It is not people who will look for you. Now ask no applause that no one gives. Then it calls paradoxical intention. I think that's why you have to open the door.